To access EBSCOhost, start at the MJC webpage, access the Golden Hamburger menu, and select Library. Like all of our databases, EBSCOhost lives under Articles and Databases, and you will find it under E. Now, there are a few different EBSCOhost databases. Luckily, the ebook collection, which is pretty cool, is very easy to search within EBSCOhost databases. So unlike Gale, you don't have to perform a separate search. You can go right to EBSCOhost databases. You can do both simple searches in EBSCOhost and more complex searching. An example of a simple search just to get started might be doing a search for drones, because the ebooks come up first, and we're going to have a lot of just basic books on drones. And here you can see Drones, the Brilliant, the Bad, and the Beautiful, Drones, What Everybody Needs to Know, Drone, Drone Art, Drone Nation, etc. If you find a book that the title looks interesting, you can open it in an EPUB or PDF. I usually use PDF, and I just want to point out that you can search this book, search within this book if you like, or you can examine the table of contents, or you can access the index. If you find something you like, you're always willing to able to create a link for the book, download content, and email content to yourself. If you're not looking for a book, you can also find other types of information, and I'm going to do a more complex searching. I'm going to do drones and surveillance again. And what I want to point out here is when you do a normal search on EBSCOhost, you're going to get a variety of formats, just like you did in Gale. Magazines, newspapers, journals. Unlike Gale, EBSCOhost gives them to you in one big lump, and they are also very peer review oriented. So these peer-reviewed articles are academic journals, and they're really awesome, but again, they can be a little intimidating, so don't feel badly if you go up to source type and do a little scaffolding. That's usually what I do by starting my search with magazines and newspapers, just because they're a little bit easier to read, and I can find some articles there. You can play around with date. You can do this in all of our databases essentially, but if you want to get more current articles, you can search for the past year, the past 5 years. You can do custom dates if you like. When you find an article you like, let's see here, you can, I'm going to try to find one that I actually like. You can access the article, and just like Gale, you can download, you can print, you can send it to a drive, and you can cite it. Citing's a little more complicated in EBSCOhost because MLA is not your default citation. APA is, so you actually have to access this alphabetical menu and choose MLA, and then examine it closely. I can see, for instance, right here that EBSCO has made a small mistake, and under page they're telling you it's not paginated, and what MLA would prefer you to do in that case is simply leave all mention of paging out of it and go right from the date to the database name. Again, you are responsible for turning these in perfectly, but you are also very easily connected to a librarian, and so my recommendation is always to have a librarian thoroughly examine your final works cited list before you turn it in, so you know it's perfect. Another cool feature you can do on EBSCO is let's Let's see if we can find it over here. On the very first page of the search, you have the option to, let's see, conduct a natural language. And that just means that you can phrase your search more like a question. I use both the natural language search and the traditional search because I always find different things under each search methodology, and so I don't want to tell you that one is better than the other. I want to say try both of them. And again, I'm going to get a lot of journals, which are great, and I'm definitely going to look at them at some point, but there's nothing wrong with just starting my search with newspapers and magazines and maybe limiting it to, the past 5 years so I don't get articles that are too outdated. Once again, I will tell you that a librarian can help you search this database. We're happy to do so. You are not on your own. I still have appointments open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday mornings, and we have 24/7 chat. Good luck.